Welcome to another edition of After Hours with Defo and LUbie. Jeff DeForest, Mike LUbie Lubitz with you on the Believe Networks. And we are here on the precipice. You talk about anticipation. Now, the schedule makers didn't do the fans of South Florida any favors by scheduling
Yes.
the Heat, Miami Heat, in their series against the Boston Celtics for the Eastern Conference Championship. That gets underway tonight. That game's going to tip off at 8:30 Eastern Time. And on the very same evening, also at home and coinciding with, I believe, 6 of the possible 7 games of the playoffs in both the NHL and the NBA, the Florida Panthers, now second choice to win the Stanley Cup and squaring off against in-state rival. And there is bad blood that exists between these two teams going against the Tampa Bay Lightning. But they are also playing tonight in South Florida. So a rarity, and I don't know if it's unprecedented that we've had 2 playoff games at home involving the Heat and the Panthers ever on the same night. I want to say somewhere along the way it had to have happened,
Mm.
but I don't remember that being the case. And these arenas are on completely different parts of what would be considered South Florida.
Yes.
So I don't know that there's going to be any great conflict there. I would think it hurts some of the interest in the Panthers
Yes.
because this is a city that focuses far more on the Miami Heat, and a Heat Celtics game obviously brings a lot of luster to the table. But either way, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong in terms of entertainment quotient. So. Let me get the ultimate Heat fan and Homer on the show. Although I can't really say that Mike Lubitz is a Heat Homer. He loves the Heat, and he thinks that most of what they do is dead wrong, completely wrong.
Just
You
in the
condemn
draft.
every move except the bad ones that they make.
Just in the
Every
draft.
move.
I like the Butler
Draft
move.
picks.
I was
You
very
love
serious about
Justice
Butler.
Winslow.
I was in
Love
love.
Justice Winslow
Yes.
over Devin Booker.
Yes.
You trashed Bam Adebayo as being a useless pandering to Kentucky by Pat
Trash.
Riley.
But I wasn't happy about it.
And you didn't think that much of Tyler Hero. You thought he was a stiff, the sixth man of the year.
True.
So you had one of the all-defensive players and sixth man of the year. You thought they were both a waste of time as draft picks, and you embraced a guy who turned out to be a monumental stiff
True.
coming out of Duke University, no less, where he obviously received far more acclaim than he had coming to him because he was on TV every night and Coach K spoke highly of him. All that being said, rarely am I startled by a line, a price, or a line. I mean, once in a while you say, whoa, can you believe it? They made the Jets 10-point favorites or whatever over anybody. But in this case, while being considered to be the underdog in game number 1, albeit a slight one, the Miami Heat are underdogs in the series against the Celtics at a robust minus 175. You
That's
have
crazy.
to lay out $175 to win 100 if you like the Celtics in the series, even though the odds makers are saying they are going to lose game 1 in all likelihood, or be a 50-50 coin flip in that one. So having home court advantage on the Heat side, and the Heat having a 2-game better record during the regular season than the Boston Celtics. Heat having dispatched of their first 2 opponents while showing slight vulnerability nonetheless, doing it in an impressive enough fashion, especially that last game against the Philadelphia 76ers. They rebounded nicely from those 2 losses in Philadelphia, came back and won easily in a cakewalk the second pair of games that they needed to win the series. And the Celtics, life and death struggle against a very, very, very good and possible title contending Milwaukee Bucks team. Also came back from the grave in that series after getting a loss tagged on them in a surprising fashion in Game 5. They come back and just blow out the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 6 and 7. But favored by a considerable margin, Mike Lubitz. So what did you think of that? If the Celtics were going to be favorites, I would have thought it would have been very slight, like maybe minus 110 to win 100. Which still would have made me consider betting the Miami Heat in what I figure is a coin flip series.
Like, I see this as sort of a toss-up. I lean Heat because the Heat are at home, and we've seen that matter so much in the NBA playoffs, and it matters so much for the Heat. The Heat are great at home. They're good on the road, but they're great at home. So I would lean Heat, but yeah, it seems like a toss-up. That, to me, if you're the road team and you're almost 2-1, that's not a toss-up. Like, they're leaning decisively toward the Celtics, which I don't get that. But that to me goes to 2 places. First, you talked about this actually this morning, they could be trying to get people to bet on the Heat. That's one. Two, the national consciousness has not paid attention to the Heat the entire season. Like they just haven't. So that goes to say it's Jimmy Butler, who's really is a superstar, but he doesn't feel like Giannis or Luka or Kevin Durant. So we don't know what to do with him. Jason did well the second half that they've made him like a legit superstar. And that's where they're leaning. To me, I think the Heat should win this series in 7 games. That's what this series feels like to me. But I'm not uber confident because the Celtics really mirror Heat. They're a great defensive team. They have multiple guys that can score. Their coach isn't experienced, but being under Popovich for so long and what we've seen from Udoka so far, he's done a really good job. And he has control of this team in a way that you usually don't see. Like, he doesn't look like Bud Coach Bud when he first got to the Bucks. And he doesn't look like Blatt when he was with the Cavs. You know, like, he's a guy that's come in, it's year one, but he's literally in 1 year turned the team around, changed their mentality to become a defensive force, and they followed him. So Udoka's a legit coach, and that's why, to me, the edge slightly goes to the Heat, but it should be a toss-up.
Nice Blatt reference there. You rarely hear his name mentioned anymore. David Blatt, who sounded and looked anything like a basketball coach, although very successful with European teams, nonetheless seemed to be miscast in spite of the fact that you would have to say, I mean, is that just inherent of any coach that has LeBron James on his team? Apparently not. If you look at what happened with the Lakers this year, although LeBron James missed a considerable amount of time, and the team that was based largely on having Anthony Davis as well didn't have his services for much of the season. So I don't know that you could get too bitter about the job that Frank Vogel did, although he's long gone. He was the first guy to go after they put together the roster with Russell Westbrook, which turned out to be a big-time failed experiment. The Miami Heat facing a much tougher defense than they faced in the first couple of series. I think that's a veritable certainty. The Boston Celtics have acquitted themselves very well there. The two teams split their regular season 6 times. They met in the regular season. It was 3-3, also implying that this is on very even footing. This particular series, we've seen where even though home court is a much more dominant factor in the NBA than it is on the ice of the NHL, that we have seen key games won by the road team in the first couple of rounds of the playoffs, including the Dallas Mavericks going on and winning that Game 7 in Phoenix, which was one of the shocking results. But I'd have to say I was surprised. I don't know that it would have to encourage people to bet on the Miami Heat as favorites to win the NBA championship. They look like they're being counted upon to go ahead and advance past this series, at least in terms of the price overall. So very strange number there, minus 175. You have to weigh in with $175 and lay it just to win $100 on the Celtics to win this series. So somewhat of a mystery in association with the line. Now, a couple of other factors are going to be in play. Marcus Smart, I think he would be one of my keys to the series.
Yes.
And the big key there then is the question that follows his status for tonight, as in literally questionable. There was, conversation on both sides about his likelihood of playing, although you're saying, Mike Lubitz, that unlike the NFL, where unless a player is listed as deceased, you can count on him being in the starting lineup. In the NBA, they're a little more transparent with this, and if a guy is questionable, he's legitimately questionable. Like, we don't know if he's going to start in this game or play in this game.
Questionable in the NFL, you assume he's playing.
Yeah.
Questionable in the NBA,
Brady was questionable every week, and he played like 722 straight weeks. Yeah.
Yes, you just put like guys on the injury list just to throw the team off. Questionable. The NBA questionable means they may not play. That was the playoffs. Regular season, I would say they're probably not going to play. Questionable in the regular season means they're not going to play. Questionable in the playoffs, I would say 50-50. Like, if the team really wants him, if he feels up to it, they'll play him. But being it's game 1, just like the Heat with Kyle Lowry, you're not going to risk him. You have a whole series. The idea is you'll probably lose game 1 a lot of the time, being that you played Sunday at game 7, going on the road. So if you're going to lose anyways, don't risk the guy if it's an injury that can be aggravated. So questionable really is a 50-50 kind of a thing when it comes to the NBA.
All right, we'll see what happens. There was talk during the season that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum couldn't coexist in any kind of symmetry. This Udoka did a nice job straightening whatever that problem out, and he had full command of the team and had them playing at a very high level with a lot of dedication and energy. And they put all kinds of effort out there every time they're on the floor. So very competitive series. Two teams that seem to be exhibiting the same type of characteristics. And we'll see who ends up prevailing there. LUbie with zero prediction on this,
I
which
think
is
they should
very
win
unusual.
7.
Never have you, gone ahead and invoked the Fifth Amendment when it came to rendering an opinion on a series. Usually, there would be a long, schlubbering dissertation about why you think the Heat have a slight edge.
I don't
But
have.
you're not even going to engage yourself in that kind of conversation. As I'm with you, there are times in sports you have to see one, huh? You might have to see two in this series
Yeah.
before you can formulate an opinion. Now, if the Celtics come in and look dominant in the ball game
Oh,
tonight, then you're
let's
thinking,
look
wow, I
at
mean, I'm sorry I didn't get down at minus 175.
exactly.
Many people are of the belief, and we had Grant Long on with us yesterday. He believes that the Heat will prevail tonight, and that the 1.5 point spread is kind of meager to have to contend with. Although he didn't address that aspect of it, but we certainly want to include that in any conversation. And that the Celtics would win game two. And then it was game on, 3 out of 5, with the Celtics then holding the home court advantage, and that could be their edge in the series. So we know what the mission always is. It's cliche to say it. The Celtics need to get the split on the road. If you get game one, it's just a bonus. And the Miami Heat obviously are in a favorable position due to the fact that the Celtics just played 2 nights ago and or 2 afternoons ago, and now have to go on the road and play in what is usually very favorable conditions for the Miami Heat. Playing at home at what is now known as the FTX Arena. Although with the status of Bitcoin, I don't know, man. Does a
Yeah,
roof cave in tonight for Mickey Harrison?
I don't
Possible.
know how long the cryptos are going to have names on things.
All right, now, while that's going on across town, we have our Florida Panthers. And if this is of little interest to people in other parts of the country, we apologize, but very unusual. The Panthers, LUbie's history and research has told us the Panthers, that this is only their 5th postseason participation ever.
Something of that nature.
In year number 3, I know they went to the playoffs when they went to the Stanley Cup final against Colorado. In their 4th year of existence after coming into the league in 93-94 as an expansion franchise, they played the New York Rangers at the old Miami Arena in the first round, and they lost that series, I believe, 4-1. It was a very lackluster, disappointing evolution for a team that had gone all the way to the Stanley Cup final the year before. And then you're saying that in the ensuing, now that's 98.
When did they make it again?
They've only been there 3 times since to the postseason. That's horrendous.
That 2012 year, where they actually had a lead on the eventual runner-up in the New Jersey Devils.
Devils won the cup that year.
So the eventual champion, that was the big joke. They had a lead.
That's their big thing is that they keep losing in the first round to the eventual champion. They did it to the Lightning last year.
Yes. That year, I know they went I thought they went the year that things were weird with COVID. Where they went last year.
Yeah. Does that count? Because there were like 20 teams of the 30 were in the playoffs.
I thought they went that year.
Yes, they did. They lost to the Islanders in a first-round playoff
and
series.
They went last year and this year. That's 3, 2012, 4. Those are your
That's
6.
it?
Right? When did they go? That was the big thing is they hadn't made the playoffs in like over a decade. Like that was the big joke was the entire time outside of the 2 times they went early, they weren't. Everyone makes it, and they weren't even making it. Like that was the big. That's why they don't have fans now, because not only they haven't won series, they haven't even made the playoffs when everyone makes the playoffs.
All right, so here was a situation that we had earlier this morning on our show, and it was brought up to us that this would have been the strategy. Our good friend Brett Tusser, who was an NFL agent, represents about 20 guys in the NFL, comes on as a football commentator on our Defo show, which you can catch just by Googling the Defo show.
Yes.
And he happens to have 4 seats on the glass in the corner.
Yes.
As a Panther season ticket holder for the last 8 years. He has like a beautiful quartet of seats. Couldn't get a better view of the game. I mean, he might be 2 rows off the glass, but I mean, you're essentially, if the guy breathes on the glass, you can see the guy's breath when it hits the glass there. as it's not going to vaporize itself, and you're thinking, my God, how great would it be? Why didn't he invite us to the game? He's going with his wife tonight, and then this came up, and I thought it was brilliant. Where have you ever done this, people? Where you beg a guy for tickets to some big special event, whether it's a concert and or a game. And this in a case you're talking about a second round playoff game with steps being taken towards the Stanley Cup, highly coveted ticket, and I would imagine a pricey ticket. So the guy says, "Yeah, sure. Why don't you come with me and my wife?" And then you subsequently go and scalp the tickets, and the person that has the tickets ends up sitting to somebody else next to somebody else besides the person he invited, and you walk away with like $3,000 in your pocket. Is that a move that is so low that it should never be given consideration, much less even mentioned on a sports talk program or offering?
I think it depends. Like if that person is just too lazy to scalp it, offers you tickets, gives you tickets, and then you scalp it, fine. That's on you.
Are you on the hook to give them part of the money from the scalp tickets now that they're sitting next to strangers at the game?
That's maybe. I mean, you guys, you have a degenerate.
What level of insult is that to the people that gave you the tickets, though?
Okay, and that's what I'm saying. It depends on the situation. If they, again, they're not ones to sell tickets. They're not even trying to go online. They have extra tickets. They don't care, and they just give it to you freely.
Yeah.
You can do what you want the tickets. Now, if you beg them for tickets, if you're sort of annoying and they begrudgingly
wait a minute. You take the tickets off the guy who could have sold them himself and say you cop like $5,000 for him, which these tickets would be worth tonight. You keep all 5 dimes? And you don't even tell the guy that you didn't go to the game? I mean, how low is that, LUbie? What kind of lack of ethical, morality and integrity is that?
This is the different decorum I have. If you give me the tickets without
you should go. Yes.
They're my tickets. So I should.
Oh, really? You're even worse than I am.
Now, if I beg you for tickets and then you give them to me, then I need to go. Like
what kind of holy Ron DeSantis? What kind of warped thinking is that?
That's how I think. Like if I asked you for the tickets, then I better go. I better personally go, or I better let you know I'm not going. Here, have the tickets back. Or if you then say I can give them to someone, then that's a different story. And then,
you don't say, "Hey, I sold them for $5,000. Here's $2,500."
I'll give you a cut. Exactly. If I asked you for the tickets, they're still your tickets. Like you're doing me a favor. If you just give me tickets and I don't even care about the event, and I'm even honest, look, I don't know if I'm going to go. It's here to take the tickets. I don't need them. Then that's my ticket.
In this case, it's too highly coveted of an event. I mean, any event that's going to have tickets that are worth $5,000 for 4 of them. I don't know. It may even be higher the value of these tickets.
The Panthers are still a weird commodity down here in South Florida, especially with the heat going on.
Yes, I mean, the speculation is that and we've seen it at games where you actually have more road fans in the building than you do home fans. Although the bandwagon has to be certainly churning towards some Panther favoritism by the local people here. But it should be wildly exciting. I mean, there's bad blood between the two teams. The Lightning knocked the Panthers out when they had great expectations last year. It was a 6-game war that, ended up in favor of the Tampa Bay Lightning, who did distinguish themselves by going on to win the Stanley Cup. Vasilevsky, the goalie for the Tampa Bay Lightning, I would think is far superior in terms of being a trustable commodity in the playoffs than Sergei Bobrovsky, who's been playing for the Florida Panthers, their big expensive free agent acquisition that might have helped get Dale Talon fired when he played like a blind man last year, as the Panthers had to go to like rookies and guys. They were thinking about digging up the body of Gump Worsley at some point. Very close parallels between the two teams. The Panthers hold one edge, and that is in goals scored per game. They averaged a record 4.11 goals per game during the regular season, whereas Tampa, no slouch in a high-scoring NHL season, averaged nearly 3.5 goals a game. The save percentage of their goaltenders virtually identical, and the goals against, though, was slightly higher for the Florida Panthers at 2.84 per game versus essentially 2.6 per game for Vasilevsky and whoever backs him up. But should be also very contentious. I mean, I would think we might be looking at another 7-gamer. The Panthers were a little bit off of their MO during the playoff series against the Washington Capitals, but then they did demonstrate some of the characteristics that made them so successful. And the President's Trophy team, as the winningest team in hockey during the regular season, they did show some of those characteristics in coming back from the grave in Game 5 and then winning it, and also coming back from behind in Game number 6. So maybe they're on their game. That's just the way they play. That they leave you in, a real high wire rack type of fashion. Thinking, oh my God, the guy's going to fall off. It's like holy Nick Walendo when you're watching this team. But the Tampa Bay Lightning are excellent, and you talk about how about this for a cliche playoff tested. Now there may be a curse involved in this, and that is the curse of the President's Cup. The curse of the President's Cup. Many teams who have won the President's Cup have never made it down to the second round.
Oh, jeez.
The President's Cup, now awarded by the National Hockey League, I want to say this started in 1985-86.
Okay.
They started awarding and making a specific award to give consideration to the team that had the best record in hockey during the course of the regular season. Now, the Lightning had experience with the curse because in 2019 they won the President's Cup and then got swept out of the first round by the Columbus Blue Jackets and the aforementioned Sergei Bobrovsky, who took a Blue Jacket team that was the 8th seed in the postseason all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals that year and played a very dynamic role in all of that. So many of the teams that have won the President's Cup haven't gotten out of the second round. There have only been a couple that have gone on to win the Cup, I believe. The 2012-2013 Blackhawks and the 2007-2008 Red Wings.
I was going to say, the Red Wings in the 90s? Yeah. I know the Avalanche and then when added, so maybe they would take turns winning the title and the other team had a better regular season. Because, I mean, that's 30-something years. That's a decent sample size. Like, that's a little weird that none of these teams – and I know it goes to show what hockey is. We get it. Hockey is a little, sort of luck. But still, there's been really dominant teams that went on to be dominant in the playoffs.
Yes, but not many. President's Cup winners. So only 2 have gone on to win the Stanley Cup. So curse of the Cup, the President's Cup. I guess it's the President's Trophy. It's not even a cup.
Yeah, it's President's
Is that applicable in this game? We like to apply any matters of the occult whenever we're doing our handicapping. All right, real quickly here, LUbie, as we are sitting with great anticipation for these 2 games tonight in our hometown here of South Florida. Mm-hmm. The Panthers and the Lightning. Who say you in game number 1?
1 Panthers. I would say Panthers in 1. I could see the series going 6. I have a weird thing, and we sort of talked about it in our bet with Mike Mayo, where this was such a big thing on them. I have a weird feeling they may play better now. Like they've sort of just, I know you thought this team didn't have a quote unquote monkey on their back. I think they sort of did. The fact that Brunette came out and said they play nervous at the beginning of every game, which is weird. After the first game, the nerves should be gone. I think they did feel like, okay, this organization hasn't won a playoff series since 96, 97, and they've only been in the playoffs 6 times total. Like getting out of the first round versus Capitals team is a big weight. I feel like we'll see them play a little different, looser. And I like the way they played the last game and the way they finished that series. They won what? Did they win 3 in a row? So
they won 2 in a row.
It
was 2-2.
It was 2-2. They won 2 in a row. Okay. And they were struggling about those games, but they found a way to win.
Oh, no, they must have won 3 in a row. Yeah.
I think they won 3 in a row because weren't they down 2?
They were down 2-1. So they won 3 straight, all in bizarre fashion.
And it was all tough. So to me, they've shown that they can still use a tough grade. I don't know. I think they'll win this series in 6. That's the weird feeling I'm getting. I wouldn't put money on it because that's another level of stress I don't need. But I can see them winning this in 6.
All right, very good. And Miami Heat, Boston Celtics. Where are you
7.
going with that one, Lou?
I see the Heat winning in 7. That they're going to use every ounce of that home court advantage. I can see that series being a freaking war like it was 2 years ago. And they ended up, I think, winning in 6 2 years ago. But that series was tough. And I think it's going to be very similar. And I think Jimmy Butler and the depth of the Heat will be and the Spoelstra. The coaching thing will matter when you get to a game 7.
All right, I'm going to go. Celtics in 6 then, just to be a contrarian.
You're probably right.
Lay the 175 to win 100. I think I'll skip that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Panthers Lightning, I honestly have no feel for. I mean, that's also the truth about the Celtics and the Heat. I couldn't pick a winner for you.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised to see either team win. I would be surprised if it was a relatively short series, like 5 games. I don't see either team sweeping the other.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on board with like Grant Long, where he was talking about Heat win tonight, and they probably cover their 1 and a hook.
Yeah.
Celtics rebound and put together a good ball game and win game 2, and then it's game on, dude. I would think, the Panthers would be very lucky to get out of the home arena there and be 2-0 in this series against the Lightning. And it's not as if they're incapable of winning in Tampa. We see that home ice doesn't mean as much in the NHL as home court does in the NBA, but Lightning scare me. Vasilevsky, the difference in the series. Lightning in 6 once again. A repeat performance of last year, and a very disappointing end to an otherwise Cinderella ride for the Florida Panthers. All right, that'll do it for us. I guess I'm a non-believer, right? I got the Celtics and the Lightning.
Impressed.
What a loser I am, man. Maybe that's why we're not getting offered any free tickets by either of these organizations after the fine job we've done here broadcasting in South Florida for the last 40-plus years. And you would think Pat Riley, my man Pat Riley, would have called and said, "Hey, LUbie, Deef, you coming to the game tonight? We want you there." They wouldn't want us there because here I am predicting that both teams are going down in flames. No, very contentious all the way around. Coin flip, either series, and I think it's going to be great. But we'll have our comments on it tomorrow, hopefully with a little bit more knowledge and depth. I don't know that you need to see one in the Panthers Lightning series. We know what that is, but hockey, there's a lot of luck involving strange bounces of the puck. I do think Vasilevsky is a better goaltender than Bobrovsky, and I think that may hold up, although Bobrovsky came up huge in spots where he needed to in the series, even though showing vulnerability at times. And they did get, I guess the Maple Leafs got like 5 on Vasilevsky in one of the games in the series, and made him look kind of ordinary a few different times. So it's a high-scoring league right now. Either series a toss-up. LUbie, you're on board with the 2 local teams. I'm on board with the 2 visitors. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Either way that you're going and whatever money that you're betting on these 2 series. And, of course, Golden State is going at it against the Dallas Mavericks in the other NBA series. And still 3 other series ongoing in the NHL to determine who wins the cup. But whatever you're doing and whatever you're betting, make sure, people, that when you do it, you got to believe.